All right, we got a connection. We're here in Sweden. Yeah, I know everybody's sleeping in America, but hopefully in the rest of the world you guys are awake. We're here with one of our favorite hairdressers, Mr. Jay Mahmood.
Good to see you.
Yeah, it's
Thank
great
you.
to be
Hello,
with him.
everyone.
You know, Jay's known for being an incredible hairdresser as well as a really great person and a great educator. He's going to share a little bit of detail here on one of the models he's going to be doing for stage here at Goldwell Global Zoom. So, Jay, take it away. Show us what you got going on.
Thank you for your lovely words, and it's always a pleasure to see you guys. This is my beautiful lady Evangeline, and we're gonna present her later on at the show at 1 o'clock today. And I'm going to cut the rest of the hair, but I'm just prepping, so I thought I'd like to share some ideas with you. So we've scissor overcombed an area through her hair, just to really sit it flatter, and the underneath has been graduated. So I'm going to go through and just start to refine the outline. I think when you're doing the outline, it's really important that you prep the hair well in this case. So I've used a really good product. I used some flat marble, and I used a little bit of diamond gloss as well, just to get the shine. And now that it's prepped well, I'm going to go through with the tips of the blade and really just start to refine my line. I think when you do this, you have to just make sure that you've got a good blow dry on the hair, a good finish, otherwise your line will never sit well. And also, when you're actually cutting, just use the tips of the blade like I'm doing here. The mistake people sometimes make is they use the flat of the blade, almost like they're cutting paper. And if you do that, you will get a clean line, but you won't have the curve. The line will be very straight, whereas by using the tips of the blade, you can see it's helped me to get a lovely curve without the line looking too straight and too flat. I think what's also very important is that you constantly kind of comb the hair into place and just visually assess how it's coming along. And I think what's really important and what makes your line stand out is just see these little hairs.
Let me just get in there.
When you start to dust them off, that's what really makes your line stand out more. So that's what I'm going through now. And also, when you're looking at your line, also look from the top. So you're looking at your line in different ways. You're looking at it from underneath, you're looking at it in eye level, and also you're coming from the top just to knock them odd hairs off.
So Jay, tell us a little bit about your background in hairdressing and how you got to the level where you are today.
You know what? I've been very fortunate in my career actually to have worked with some of the best haircutters in the world. My area of speciality, if you like, is precision cutting. I spent 11 years at Vidal Sassoon from the age of 16. I was an apprentice and I worked my way up into the academy team. Until I was running one of the academies in London. And then from there, I left and I went to an amazing place called Alilon Education. And I was heading the education there. I was the principal of the London Academy. And yeah, then I think it got to a stage where I wanted a new direction. I wanted a new challenge. And so I set up my own freelance education company. And also at the same time, I'm honored to have the position that I do with Goldwell. I'm the global artistic ambassador of haircutting, and which basically means I travel around the world for Goldwell and I design and create cutting education. I've just been working on, in the last year or so, I've been working on the Master Stylist program, which is a new global cutting system that I designed for Goldwell. And it's designed like a journey. It's a series of courses that run from your classic discipline, your foundation techniques, and it goes up to sort of modern salon techniques, which is like an introduction to disconnection, and then on to advanced disconnection too. So we've got a lovely journey which is available for Goldwell customers, or any customer really around the world, in our Goldwell academies.
Excellent, excellent. So again, we're backstage here with Jay Mahmood. He's redefining a little bit of a pre-cut here that's going to go on stage. So again, tell us, what are you looking for as you work on the outline here?
I think what you want to do is just kind of let the hair sit, and you're looking for fluidity in your line, just looking at your line from different angles, from eye level, from getting underneath your line as well, and also looking at your line from top. So however the hair is seen, it always looks immaculate.
So Jay, we're talking a little bit about your global program that you're working for Goldwell here. So you're going around to different countries and training people in the haircutting system.
Exactly. Yeah, I've had a bit of a busy time, to be honest. I've been in the US, I've been to Australia, I've been to Asia, Taiwan, Hong Kong. So it's really exciting actually. It's a very exciting time for Goldwell because we've got, as I said, we've got a cutting system now globally. But also it's a very exciting time for me on a personal level because it's such a huge project to have created for Goldwell, and now that it's out and available in the academies, it makes me very proud to see this. And when I'm starting to develop the team and do teacher training with them around the world, and to see them grow and then go on to teach it, it's an amazing feeling.
Yeah, it leads me into like a natural question. We're working with a lot of the young, strong hairdressers in the U.S. James Mold and Ben Crace, and all these guys really credit you as a mentor. So I think that's
nice
a testament to what you're giving to hairdressers. So when you're going to all these different countries, I mean, are you noticing big differences in hairdressers from the U.S. to Asia? Or is there anything that stands out in your mind?
I think the biggest thing that I'm starting to see now in the last few years, and now more so than ever before, I want to congratulate Hairbrained. You know, it's guys like you and the way you connect us all around the world for us to share tips and tricks and ideas. You know, it's great that we all kind of know each other. So even though we're across the Atlantic, I feel like I know so many hairdressers from the US.
Yeah, we're taking away those borders and helping people connect.
Exactly. You know, and I think the worst thing about our industry is the political divide that we sometimes have. And I think things like Hairbrained, platforms like that, really help to break down them barriers, because ultimately it should be about creativity.
Putting the craft first.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we're all about, and that's why we try to touch base with so many different people.
Exactly.
So you've had a couple of exciting things going on. I know you were just at Tribute in Paris.
That was amazing.
Alongside some of the
some of the big boys.
The industry.
Yeah, definitely.
So how did that feel for you? Who else was? Tim Hartley.
So we had Tim Hartley, we had Sassoon Academy, Angelo Seminara, Ludovic Beckers, and Christopher Gellert from France as well. So we had an amazing lineup of people, and Tribute is something that I'd always, as a hairdresser, I love to go and watch it as a spectator.
Yeah, it's fun.
And it's a great event, and to actually see my name on the bill poster, and to go on stage with all the guys, it was so amazing.
It's quite an accomplishment, and as I mentioned earlier, we love to see nice people accomplishing things. You know, you can
so much.
care about people and be nice and be genuine and spread positive messages and be successful. And I think that's huge. And you know, I think when I think of you, I really always think of someone who's professional and positive and talented, and really, setting an example to elevate our craft.
Thank you so much. That's very nice of you.
We got to get you to the States to do a teach-in with us.
Do you know what? I was just going to say, I love the events that you do, and I'd love to play a part in that as well.
Yeah, we got to set it up. You know, we've got in the end of January 29th or 30th, we do our Long Beach teach-in.
Oh, great!
And then again in March for the New York show.
Excellent.
So we gotta coordinate our schedules.
I think I'm going to be out in New York around March time. So
really?
That could work.
Yeah, March 13th. 12th, 13th will be the teach-in in New York.
Fantastic.
So we got to coordinate. So we'd love to have you join us.
It would be my pleasure, honestly. So I'll just
get a good angle here.
Yeah, let's get back to the haircut.
All good, no problem.
We good.
We good.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just going to move that little piece of hair out of the way, and just comb the hair down, and just look for any areas that don't quite fit into the shape. And you can see around the temple area, we've got a couple of strands. And also over here, it's a little bit finer, so there's no use holding on to this. So I'm just going to come through and start to cut some of that away. Again, just using the tips of the blade.
What's your lovely model's name?
Evangeline.
And she's been kind of traveling around with you to do these events?
Do you know what? I'm very lucky. I've known Evangeline for a little while. And I used to cut her hair at Alilon with the team, and she was in their latest collection. But we've still got a great friendship, and we still share models and everything. So
fantastic.
Yeah, I cut Evangeline's hair in Paris for the tribute show, and while it's fresh, we thought we'd come and share the idea here at Global Zoom.
Yeah.
So what I'm looking for now is, with Evangeline's hair, it's a very kind of, with the greatest respect, it's a very tricky texture, and it demands really strong technique, because as you can see, it's moving in so many different directions. And even when you cut her hair to about 3 inches long, it actually stands straight out. So choice of length is very important.
Very Christopher Brooker.
Yeah.
Little brush.
Oh yeah, a
Brush.
legend, exactly.
Yeah.
So what I've done is I've worked it down without going super tight like mine, and then I dried it kind of without a brush, just kind of natural airflow, and let the hair sit and relax. And now I'm just going through and just
Kind of
using a freehand, yeah,
scissor over
just
hair.
to make it work. Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, yeah.
It's interesting when you work with extreme textures, whether they be extremely curly or extremely straight.
Yeah.
It pushes your technique.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and I think, to be honest, one thing I always say, this might sound really cheesy, but you know, technique conquers all. You know, that even if you're facing something very, very tricky, wet the hair down, take your sections clean, apply strong technique, and you'll get through it.
Strong fundamental understanding. We have a great
Exactly.
friend in the U.S. called DJ Muldoon.
Yes,
And his
yes, yes,
tagline
yes.
is "Knowledge destroys fear."
I like that.
So
I
he really
like
just
that.
teaches people about the fundamental geometric shapes and
Yeah.
technique and precision and keeping it as simple as possible. And then when you have that, you can do anything.
Yeah, I think what's really important as well is just really use your mirror. Just to not only am I looking at the scissor over comb silhouette, but also every time Evangeline moves her head, I'm looking at what that line looks like. And I think that the placement of the line is very important too. If you see the way this line's working, it's kind of curving up towards the cheekbones. And I know I'm going to embarrass you now, but Evangeline's one of my favourite models to cut. I think she's so pretty, and she's got this really natural kind of beauty. And I think the placement of the lines and the choice of length, I like to think it complements her.
And I mean, it's you kind of took like a slightly asymmetrical parting here for this.
Yeah.
I don't want to call it an undercut because it's the opposite.
It's
it's
like
in
a
the middle
cut,
cut,
isn't it?
yeah.
Do you know,
Under,
it's really
over,
funny
and in
how
between.
we got to this,
Yeah.
because I was cutting her hair in Paris, and I thought for the tribute show I'm going to do a really simple, classic kind of shape. So I worked like a graduated bob kind of feeling, and I just sent her on lunch. I'm like, Evangeline, get some lunch, and you know, let me think about something. As soon as she come back from lunch, I literally
Took the meat out of the sandwich.
I literally put my comb in, lifted it up, and I started to scissor over comb it down. And I think this is really interesting. I want to share something with you. I think when you approach hair, or when I approach hair, you always hear two voices. You know, the first voice is the really excited voice that says, "Oh, why don't you cut this out? And why don't you do this? Why don't you, leave this bit long and cut this bit short?" And then immediately after, you have a second voice that steps in and says, "No, don't do that. Do this. You're good at this. This is safe. This is comfortable." And the second voice is your comfort zone speaking to you. So my advice is that first voice that gives you this really crazy idea, that's your creativity, and always go with that. So when I thought I need to do something different, I just went with it. Almost, I don't like to plan things too much, because I think that if you go into a haircut and it's too planned, for example, if you're doing a show and you think, I'm going to cut this away, I'm going to section that out, sometimes it's very natural to fall back into your comfort zone. And I think if you start to improvise and think, do you know what, I'm feeling this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to express myself. And I think just like your mood is different every day, your approach to hair should be reflective of your mood.
Right.
And that way you're always expressing your creativity.
Yeah, you'll always be original and organic if you go with your feelings.
Exactly.
Sometimes if you overthink it, it looks like you overthought it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this could go on for a while. So I think the key here is just being patient. Because to be honest, if I was on my own and in my element, I could probably spend an hour just freehanding this, and you kind of lose yourself. And I think it's important to have that experience. We're lucky when you do shows, you have the luxury of time to spend, say, 2 hours on a haircut, just refining it and refining it. And I think even if you're working in the salon and you don't have that time, make that time, even if it's sort of once a week or once a fortnight or once a month. Lock yourself away, get a beautiful girl in, and just stay behind and push your technique.
We were with our friends at Hair Story Studio in New York last week, and Wes, the featured hairdresser that we were working with, he said something great.
Yeah.
He said, find people on the street that you know that are cutting their hair themselves,
Yeah.
and offer them a free haircut.
That's a good one.
Yeah, because
That's
it's
a
like,
really good one.
if they're doing it themselves, then they'll let you do it.
Exactly,
Because he gets great models all the time, and he
That's a
says
really good idea.
He looks for all these young girls that he knows are very DIY.
Yeah.
And he says, hey, come to my salon, I'll give you a free haircut.
That's a good
But
one.
it kind of takes balls to do it, because
Yeah.
I know so many hairdressers that say, "Oh, I can't get a model, I can never
Yeah.
do it, I can never practice it." But it's like dating. You got to go up to at least 10 women on the street before you get one that'll agree to have a cup of coffee with
Well,
you. Or have
could
a
you share
haircut.
some tips with us? You sound
Yeah.
like you know what you're talking about there.
Well, the tips are keep asking until they say yes.
Yeah, right.
And if the same one keeps saying no, ask other ones.
Yeah, good advice.
But
Do you know
yeah.
what? It's so true. I mean, to be honest, even for as long as I've been doing hair and the kind of position I found myself in, I still model hunt. It's so important. I
Yeah.
think hairdressers sometimes they get to a certain level and they think, oh, I'm not going to model hunt anymore. And to be honest, the better your model is, the more you can express
absolutely.
yourself and the better your work.
It's happened to me plenty of times in my career when I come to do a show, and for whatever reason, the model call is not great.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
we have to hit the streets and hit the bars, and
Absolutely.
if you never lose that talent, you'll
Yeah.
never go hungry.
It's so
Because if you can
important.
find models, you can find clients.
Exactly.
You know how
It's
to
so
talk
true.
to people,
Yeah,
and so important.
Definitely. So what's really important here is the way that you hold the blade. I think because I'm trying to control my vertical shape here, I'm keeping my blade vertical, as you can see, and that's just helping me to create a slimmer, flatter kind of profile. But where the hair starts to go in different directions, you can find yourself sort of working around the head, following the contour of the head and the curvature, and that just kind of helps sit the shape in around certain areas.
So again, normally
tip.
we're on U.S. time, but over here in Europe, we're getting all these international names watching, which is fantastic.
Okay. cool.
Cigar and Svetlana and Omar.
Hello,
and
everyone.
everyone's saying, yeah, they're excited for what you're doing. Awesome.
Oh, that's amazing.
Again, guys, for these last couple of minutes, if you have any questions for Jay, we're trying to field any questions that we can.
Yeah.
What you're doing right now is similar to how you learn how to cut afro hair, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Do you know what?
Yeah.
I've got an afro that I'm going to present today as well.
Oh,
and
all
again,
three
we
of
use
them.
Samuel
That's
in.
extreme,
Yeah, we use
extreme
Samuel. in-
textures.
Do you know, for anyone who kind of sees my work on Facebook or Instagram, you'll notice I do a lot of curly hair. I love curly and afro hair because I think that when I was younger, it was a texture that I wasn't very good at. And the kind of person I am, if I'm not good at something, I like to challenge myself to master it. So the idea is, if you can't do something, go out there, get a model, and just practice and make your weakness your strength.
Yeah.
You know?
Again, hit the streets and find people.
Absolutely. Just over here, you can see what her hair texture's doing.
Yeah.
The hair's growing down, and then this hair's growing forward,
You got a great
and it's
morning.
kind of giving us this kind of weight. So once you've refined it technically as much as possible, my advice is do this. Relax your hand, just move your thumb, like so, but move it quite quick, and just come in with the tips of the blade, and just start to point it out a little bit. So you're coming in with different sort of refinement techniques to make the hair work. That's the key. So we're almost emptying out the weight here, and again we're going to go back to freehand. So a combination of freehand and pointing to kind of make this texture work. And you can see instantly that's starting to sit better. If
And
I'm honest, the lighting's not great here because it's really bright, but
Nope, I got it.
I'm doing my best. I'm trying not to make excuses.
And will you be finishing her up on stage?
Yeah, we're going to finish up on stage.
So we'll be sure to capture some footage
finished
of
look.
Jay working on stage and some final images of the overall look here.
Yeah.
Any final words you want to say to the
So
Hairbrain
everybody
audience?
at home, thank you so much. Thank you to Hairbrain. Keep up the fantastic work. And to everybody at home, just as an industry, just come together, practice, and share as much as possible.
Right on, Jay.
Thank
Thanks
you so much.
And
Great to
we'll
see
have
you.
Jay again in the future. We'll bring him to the U.S. to do some events with us and some more in-depth Hairbrain lives. This was just something we had wanted to take advantage of, and here it is. Hope you enjoyed it.